So without even having that definition written down, a line that passes through the midpoint, so cuts it in half, and intersects at a 90-degree angle. That is perpendicular. So let's just quickly draw a bit of a sketch here. He's got a little bit of space. So I'm going to put a triangle. All of what we're working with today are lines in a triangle, medians, and right bisectors. And we're going to put, I'm going to estimate the middle of, I don't know, let's say this bottom line. So the midpoint cuts it into 2 equal portions. And we're looking for a line that is going to be perpendicular. Ooh, that was not a straight line. Perpendicular going through that midpoint. Something like this. That's a right bisector. He has a note, something to remember from last year. Perpendicular lines have slopes that are negative reciprocals of each other. What does it mean to be negative reciprocals?
When the equation is like flipped.
Yes. So in grade 9, you probably had a phrase like switch the sign, flip the fraction, or somebody told me something else. Flip and swap or something. Like there's something in your grade 9 maths vocabulary, there'd be a way of use a negative reciprocal. They have to have opposite signs, and reciprocal means opposite fraction. So they're flipped upside down. So Mr. Siki gave you an example. If the slope of AB is negative 2/3, then the perpendicular slope is positive 3/2. Okay, so negative 2/3, switch the sign, negative became positive, flip the fraction, 2/3 became 3/2. Any questions about perpendicular slopes, negative reciprocals?
The triangle you drew, does the arrow go all the way to the top?
No, not necessarily. That's a good question, Sophia. You're going to see that here in a minute. Not necessarily.
Karina says that she needs to be let into the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
She just let me in. I'm good.
Oh, hi, welcome. Sorry about that. Okay, so look at this first example here. Find the equation of the right bisector of line segment AB. Find the slope of line AB, but then turn it into the negative reciprocal slope, because we said that right bisectors have to be perpendicular. So that's steps 1 and 2. Find the slope of the line and then turn it to the negative reciprocal. So that would be this part. And then he says, now find the midpoint. That's because it has to bisect. And then we can come up with the B value, the y-intercept, and write the equation of a line. Keep those steps handy as we work through this question. Write the equation of a right bisector that goes through a line with endpoints -1, 4, and 7, -2. So he's only giving us the endpoints of this line, which is fine. And we want the right bisector. Okay, start with this part of the word. Right means perpendicular. So what do I know about its slopes? Perpendicular lines have what kind of slopes?
90-degree.
Yep. Which means negative reciprocals. So the first thing I'm going to do is find the slope of line AB and then turn it into the negative reciprocal so that I can make it a right bisector, a perpendicular bisector. Okay, how do I find slope? We just worked with this. Anyone?
y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
Fantastic. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What's -2 take away 4?
-6.
And what is 7 take away -1?
8.
8. That does not turn into a whole number, but it can reduce. What's -6 over 8 reduced to?
-3, 4.
Fantastic. If you guys get stuck on that, your calculators will reduce fractions as well. Pretty amazing. Now, this is the slope of line AB. So if I just roughly sketched AB, this is the slope of this line. But I ultimately want a perpendicular line. So how do I find the slope of a line that's completely opposite? How do I find the slope of this line? What will be the perpendicular slope of AB?
4/3.
Very good. Switch the sign. So -3/4 becomes positive. 3/4 becomes 4/3. So positive 4/3. This is the slope that I want. My symbol here's a little messed up. Perpendicular looks like an upside down T, and then you just put a little 90-degree angle into it. It means that's a perpendicular slope. Positive 4/3. Okay, now the only thing I know about this line right now, my right bisector, is the slope is 4/3. However, right bisector, what am I going to find next? What will bisect this line? What am I looking for?
The midpoint.
Yes, I need the midpoint. So midpoint of AB. You guys already know your midpoint formula. What am I plugging in here? Add the x's, -1 + 7, divided by 2. Add the y's, 4 + -2, divided by 2. Where's my midpoint?
Three, 1.
Thank you. 3, 1. Okay. I'm just going to put this on this quick sketch that I have here. 3, 1. Ultimately, I want the equation of the line. It says, what's the equation of the right bisector? That's a y = mx + b. I have my slope is 4/3, and I have my midpoint of 3, 1. What's my next step? What am I looking for?
To find the B.
The B value. Good. Now in median, we had choice. We could use either point on the median line, the vertex or the midpoint. How many points do I know on a right bisector? Look at my little diagram. How many points do I know on this line?
1.
1. I have no choice. I have to use my midpoint, 3, 1. So Mr. Sicky has this note. Use the perpendicular slope and the midpoint to come up with the B value, the y-intercept. Okay, so my slope was 4/3. And my B value is, oh, sorry, my midpoint is 3, 1. I'm looking for my B value. My midpoint is 3, 1. How do I find the B value? This is the same as the last process we just did.
Put those points into y = mx + b.
Very good. And do a little bit of algebra here. Okay, 1 = 3 times 4/3 plus b. We have a nice multiplication here. What's 3 times 4/3?
4.
Yes. So what's b?
-3.
Fantastic. So what's my equation for the right bisector?
Y = 4/3x - 3.
Thank you, Vita. Y = 4/3x - 3.
Would you mind going up to step 3? I just missed
Yep.
one of the bits.
that good?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Can I go off that screen now? Is that good?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I'm actually going to go back to GeoGebra here, guys, and I'm going to show you how this works. So let me put in again. You guys had some points. Oh, I think I didn't screen share. Did I? Sorry. Now you can see it. Okay, awesome. Now you can see it. Okay. You had -1, 4 as a point, and you had 7, -2 as a point. And then we came up with the equation y equals 4/3 x minus 3. Okay. So if you guys look at line AB, that's the one he gave us. Write the equation of the right bisector that has endpoints -1, 4, and 7, -2. This line here that's going through it, that they've said intersects at point G, should be right and should bisect it. Does it look like they're at a 90-degree angle? Does it look like they're right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I should be able to do distance here. Oh, it's not letting me. Oh, I didn't put in a midpoint. Give me 1 second. Our midpoint was 3, 1. Okay, now let me try this again. Distance from A to midpoint is 5. From midpoint to B is 5. Okay, so that equation we just came up with is right, it's perpendicular, and it bisects. Questions on that one? All right, let's look at example number 2. Lauren, Daniel, Nicholas, Peter, if you guys can turn on your cameras, it would be great. Okay, here's another right bisector. Right bisector. What are we doing here, guys? Oh, I didn't share my screen. Sorry, hold on 1 second. There we go. Okay. What am I doing?
Finding the slope.
Fantastic. So I am going to label mine x1, y1, x2, y2. Plug it in. -2, take away 4, and 3, take away 1. What's my slope?
-6/2.
Which is?
-3.
Fantastic. Good job. Okay. Now that's the slope of the line that I'm working with, but I want to make it a right bisector. So what am I doing with that slope?
Finding the negative reciprocal.
Fantastic. So negative slope. What's negative reciprocal of -3?
1/3.
Positive 1/3. Good job. So switch sign, flip fraction. And what's the denominator of any whole number?
1.
Very good. Nice job. So negative became positive, 3/1 became 1/3. Very good. Okay, we just worked with the right portion. It's right. It's perpendicular. Bisect. What are we going to find now that we want it to bisect? Midpoint. So add the x's. 1 + 3 divided by 2. And 4 + -2 divided by 2. What's my midpoint?
2, 1.
2, 1. Okay, now we have what we need to make the equation. I have the slope that's going to make it right, perpendicular, and I have the midpoint that's going to make it bisect. It's going to go through the middle. So what am I doing with the right slope and the midpoint?
Get into the form y equals mx plus b.
Very good, Sophia. 1 equals 1/3 times 2. I did copy down all that information, right? I think. Yes, guys? You guys need to check what I'm doing. 2, 1, and slope was, yes, 1/3. Okay. Who wants to isolate for B here?
2/3 now.
Good. 1 times 1/3 times 2 is 2/3. And then
Once you subtract, you have 1/3 is b.
okay, so this ends up not being a whole number. Does not mean you've done it wrong. Keep going. And what's my equation of the right bisector?
Y equals 1/3x.
Good, Vina. Okay. Equation, right bisector. It's 1/3 x plus 1/3. That's what we got, right? It's kind of. Okay, let me just quickly see how that's going to look here. Guys, this website is free if you guys want to access it. I can put a link on Etsy. If you want to just check your work. Sometimes this one's harder to see if I've done it right, and you maybe don't want to take all the time to graph it. I had 1, 4, and I had 3, -2. And then we came up with the equation y equals 1/3 x plus 1/3. Oh, we also had the midpoint of, what was our midpoint? 2, 1. Okay, so here we go. Do those look like they're perpendicular?
Yes.
Yes, sometimes you have to tilt your head a little bit, and let's just double check that we've done this right. That's 3.16. That's 3.16. I think GeoGebra will measure your slope. I just can't find it right now. It's been a while since I had to play around with this program, but it does, if I tilt my head, that looks like it's perpendicular. Nice job, guys. Okay, one more example, and then you guys have some work to do. This last example, he has us do median and right bisector, which I think is fantastic because you have learned a lot today. Maybe I need to still copy some notes. Sorry, guys. Let me just put this in my notepad here. Okay, he gives you a triangle. You guys can go ahead and do the rough sketch while I just get this in my notes. Triangle TUV. Just do a rough sketch. Literally, it just means draw any triangle TUV. Don't worry if yours is oriented different than mine, it doesn't matter. Mine are definitely not in the right place. Okay. He has us write the equation of the median from V. I'm going to do a rough sketch of what that median is going to look like, and then we're going to work with that information. Median, what do you guys remember about median?
Middle.
Middle, goes right through the middle of the road, right? So if it's coming from V, what's it connecting to?
The midpoint of T and U.
Very good. So I'm just going to do a quick sketch. I know it's going to connect to over here. It's going to be the midpoint. It's going to look something like that. Okay, I'm going to be working with this midpoint here. I'm going to focus on that quick, rough sketch to figure out how do I come up with the equation for this line. What's my first step?
Find the
Okay.
slope.
Okay, Sophia, I like that you said find the slope because ultimately we need slope and we need our y-intercept, right? What do we need to calculate slope? Think about your slope formula. What do we need to calculate slope?
The midpoint of T and U.
Why do we need the midpoint first?
So we can calculate slope
Yeah,
with
because slope needs how many points?
2.
2. Awesome. So you might think right off the bat, oh, slope, I need M and then I need B. But then really look at your equation. Slope needs 2 points. Right now I only have V. So I first have to find the midpoint. Okay, so let's find the midpoint of what 2 points? The middle of what?
T and U.
T and U. Very good. So I'm going to work with these 2 points. You guys calculate slope and we're going to compare. What's your midpoint? I know you guys are already calculated it. What's your midpoint?
4 and 7.
4 and 7. I thought it was, you said 1 at first. Okay, good. Okay, I have M. Now that I have M, I have this point and this point. I have my end points. I'm going to ignore this and this now. I'm focusing on M and V. What's my next step?
Find the slope of.
Find the
both of them.
slope. Good. So doesn't matter which one you call x1 and y1 and x2 and y2, but I'm going to take ultimately, I guess I'll label mine here. This is the 1s. This is the 2s. 2 take away 7 over 8 take away 4. 2 take away 7 over, I think I said 8 take away 4. What did I say? Yep. 2 take away 7, 8 take away 4. What's my slope?
-5/4.
Okay. Here's a question. Do I flip that for median?
No.
No. So really, really focus on what we're doing here. It's very tricky. We can get the steps confused. I just figured out the slope of the median. Okay, so keep going. That's M. Now what do I need?
The y-intercept.
Y-intercept. Good, math. Good, Matt. Matt, do you want to use 4, 7 or 8, 2 for that?
8, 2.
8, 2. Okay. So step number 3. I'm going to use 8, 2 and my slope of -5/4. How do I find my B value?
You have to multiply the -5/4 with 8, and that gets
Yep.
negative.
Good. So I'm going to plug all that into y equals mx plus b. 2 equals -5/4 times 8 plus b. What's -5/4 times 8?
Negative
10. So what's b?
12.
Good. It's my equation of the median.
Y equals -5/4 x plus 12.
Very good. questions? Honestly, the hardest part about this lesson, guys, is going to be remembering steps for median, steps for right bisector. So really focus on median goes straight through the middle, goes from a vertex to the opposite midpoint, and really focus on what information do I have, what do I need, how do I get there? So median, we just found the equation from V over to the midpoint. Okay, now we have to switch a little bit in our brains to right bisector, and he's telling me right bisector of TU. Okay, let me erase some of what I've done here. Mr. Siki was a little bit nice to us here, guys, because we already have the midpoint found. Right bisector. Should not talk and write at the same time. Okay, I'm going to leave the midpoint there. He wants me to find the right bisector of TU. What am I going to do? Right first. How does it help me to focus on the word right?
Find the slope first and then make it perpendicular.
Good. Right means perpendicular, so I'm going to find the slope first. The slope between what points?
T and U.
T and U. Good, Bella. I have M on there, but I don't really need to worry about M right now. It says the right bisector of TU. So I'm going to find the slope between T and U and then turn it into the negative reciprocal. So you guys go ahead and try calculating slope here of TU, and we're going to compare. What's your slope of TU?
One.
Thank you, Will. It is 1. Okay, but that's the slope of TU. How do I make it right?
You find the negative reciprocal, which is -1.
Very good. Positive 1 over 1, switch the sign. So positive became negative 1 over 1 becomes 1 over 1. Okay, so I just made it right. Now what am I looking for? Bisector. What am I looking for?
The midpoint?
The midpoint. Good, Matt, which we already have, is 4, 7. We found it over in the other one. So midpoint is 4, 7. So we can keep moving. I have my slope, -1, and I have a point on my line. So what am I going to find?
Y-intercept.
Very good. Y-intercept. So, oh, actually, I think I numbered these wrong. This was step 2. This was step 3. Step 4 of this one was the B value. Okay. And how many points do I know right now on my right bisector line?
Just 1.
Just 1. Good, Sophia. So I'm going to use 4, 7 for X and Y. And my slope is the -1 slope. Guys, go ahead and solve for your B value. What's your B value?
11.
Good. So what's the equation of the right bisector?
Y equals negative x plus 11.
Good. Some of you guys maybe wrote it like this. We don't need the -1 in there. So negative x plus 11. Fantastic. Questions? Okay, he has left on your sheet for you guys, write bisector practice.